morning, everyone. I'm Rosanna, property consultant from Bosworth Property Marrakech, here with
Colin Bosworth. I'm CEO of Bosworth Property Marrakech.
Now, as you've seen from the news, there's been a significant earthquake in Morocco on Friday night. Here we are 3 days on to talk about the impact and how we're coping here in Marrakech. Firstly, Colin, what's your assessment of the situation? What have you seen?
So Marrakech actually is relatively unscathed. I think we can see that. We've been touring the city over the last 3 days. The Medina has a few old buildings which have collapsed. Some of the ramparts have been damaged, but generally life goes on. Restaurants are open, shops are open, people are going about their normal lives. The big problem, of course, is in the High Atlas Mountains, where a lot of villages have suffered significant damage with a lot of suffering up there. The epicenter was about 100 kilometers south of here, and the villages up in the mountains are definitely suffering. But Marrakech itself is actually in pretty good form, considering the size of the quake and the historical nature of the old city. So we're slightly disappointed with some of the news going out on the news channels, focusing on the few buildings which have collapsed rather than the fact that the city is actually up and running, all services are functioning correctly, etc. I was in the new city, Gilise, yesterday. It's like nothing's happened. So while our thoughts go out to the people up in the hills who are living very difficult times, I think here in Marrakech, Medina, and in the Marrakech city, life is picking up again and people are moving on. The very resilient nature of the Marrakechi and the Moroccans in general is coming to the fore.
Absolutely. Now, we've had an outpouring of amazing messages from clients and friends, and thank you so much. One question that people are starting to ask, of course, is what will the impact be on the market here in Marrakech and the surrounding areas?
Well, in Marrakech city, we're expecting it to be quiet now for the next few weeks. I think that would be normal. A lot of people will be postponing their travel plans, rightly or wrongly. So we would expect it to be quiet, but the fundamentals remain really strong in Marrakech, of course. We have the IMF conference coming in a month or so. So we'll have the leaders of the world's banks here in Marrakech, big event. And I would expect that after the IMF conference, things will take off again really strongly. We're very bullish, obviously, about our market here in Marrakech. We've been proven right time and time again through the pandemic and one thing and another. And we're expecting the market to pick up very strongly towards the end of the year.
Let's hope so. And today you're going to be talking to a couple of our Riad owners.
Yes. Yeah, so we'll be speaking to James Wix of Farnatchi, Riad. We'll be speaking to Peter Mercer of Riad Zaman, and they'll be giving us their take on the situation in Marrakech, Medina today.
Great. And for those who want to help from abroad or from other areas in Morocco, what can we do?
So there are a number of fundraisers going on, obviously, to help the people in the mountains. We will be contributing to the British Moroccan Society fundraiser, and I will put a link in the video for people to click on. And we're also, with James Wicks, actually supporting his effort to provide support to local Medina families where it's needed.
Great. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Colin. We're joined now by Peter Mercer, who's the owner of Riad Zaman, to tell us a bit about his experience in the Medina over the last few days. Peter, how are you doing?
Hello, Rosanna. Well, I'm doing surprisingly well, actually. After the initial shock that obviously we all experienced, I was actually expecting to see a lot of devastation here in the Medina. I live outside of the Medina, so it took me a day to come into the Medina. The reports were coming in about the Atlas Mountains, obviously, which is just horrific and tragic. When I came to the Medina, it was actually as if nothing had happened. I went to my Riad, absolutely pristine, not a single crack. The neighborhood was perfect. So I actually decided to walk around the Medina to see for myself what all this devastation was that I thought I'd been seeing on the news, actually. So I walked around, and not to diminish what has happened to a lot of people, but there's very few incidents in the Medina where actually there's a house that's fallen down or something. Cafes and souks and so on were open yesterday and functioning normally. I went to Jamal Fanar Square last night. there were tourists everywhere. It was almost like a parallel universe, because I know what's going on in the mountains and that this massive relief effort that's being undertaken, and that people are still searching for people under the rocks. I've got good friends who are up there helping and so on. So yes, it was I felt almost guilty that here we are, we've kind of got away with this. And Marrakech obviously depends on tourism, so it's important that people don't just stop coming, because there's actually no reason to stop coming to Marrakech city, and it's the Atlas Mountains, which I would always normally tell people to visit, that are affected at the moment.
How are you feeling about the months ahead? Optimistic about business?
I'm very upbeat. I mean, this year it was a good year, and it is still a good year. October, reservations for October, November are really strong, and even I'm already fully booked for the end of the year. So I see, Marrakech is very resilient, and people have a fondness for Morocco, and that was helped by the performance in the World Cup, I think. But people have a special place in their hearts for Morocco. So I think that people will soon put this behind them and continue with their plans to visit.
Let's hope so. Thanks so much, Peter, for joining us.
You're welcome.
Anything else you want to add?
No, I mean, that's it. Thank you. I'll let you get on with your busy day.
Great. You too. Take care. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Colin of Bosworth Property Marrakech. Welcome to Marrakech, Medina. Today we're joined by James Wicks from Riad Farnatchi and Spa, and of course the world famous Trou restaurant, known to foodies all over the world. James, thank you for taking time to speak with us today after the events of last Friday. How are you bearing up?
We're very good, thank you. Thank God, staff, guests, family, all safe and sound, and frankly that's the most important thing.
Excellent.
And great to see how Marrakech is moving forward and coping with this.
Yeah, I noticed coming here that a lot of the streets have already been cleaned, there's people about, restaurants are open, shops are open.
I think everything's gradually opening up again, and of course in the new town things are carrying on as normal. Life is moving forward. It has been a tragedy. There has been loss of life within the city, but equally, I think it's hugely important for Morocco now that we move forward. That there is a desperate situation in the high Atlas Mountains, but I don't think we can confuse what's going on up there with what's happening in the city, where the infrastructure is still in very, very good condition, and communications are up, utilities are working brilliantly, and actually things are starting to get back to some sort of normality.
Yes. How do you see things going forward? Have you had a lot of cancellations? Are you looking forward with optimism?
We have seen cancellations as you'd expect, and I understand that some people will be nervous about coming for a short period of time. I think that moving forward, we're looking to get reopened absolutely as soon as possible. Obviously once structural engineers have cleared us and everything else, but the government, the engineers, the building companies are all working together quickly to try and resolve this situation.
We have the IMF conference, which in principle will be going ahead in October. Do you see that as having a positive impact?
Absolutely. I mean, that would be the rubber stamp to say that Marrakech is safe and can carry on life as normal. And it would be hugely important for them to do that. I think what Morocco desperately needs right now is for life to go on, and for tourists to continue coming to Marrakech, and putting that money back into the core of the community.
We know that there has been a lot of destruction up in the high Atlas, and obviously our thoughts are with those people up there who must be in a desperate situation. However, Marrakech itself has got off pretty unscathed.
Yeah, I mean, the high Atlas Mountains is an absolutely horrific situation, and that will continue to unfold for the next few days at least, if not weeks. But Marrakech itself is unbelievable. I have to say the damage to Marrakech itself is far better than I had first feared. I think that yes, large parts of the city are completely unscathed, certainly the new town. We mustn't forget that there has been loss of life in the Medina, and that's immensely sad. But equally, incredibly, it has stood the test of time very well.
Yeah, it's a very resilient place and a resilient people.
Immensely resilient people who are now rallying to help each other.
Thank you so much for your time today, James.
It's a pleasure.